Welcome to the big, beautiful YouTube channel.
Listen up, patriots. It's your boy, Caption America, where we take a peek at this week's biggest news story and caption it with star-spangled commentary. Alright folks, welcome back to the channel, where we shield you from boring news and hurl snarky captions at the absurdities of the week. I'm your host, Caption America, who's equal parts helpful, hilarious, and hell-bent on not letting the truth get buried under a mountain of black ink. This week's big story? The Epstein files release. We've covered Epstein before, but this time, it's got more plot twists than a Marvel reboot. Let's dive in shield first. So, on December 19, 2025, right as everyone's spiking their eggnog, the Department of Justice finally cracked open their Epstein library. Yes, that's what they called it, because nothing says serious investigation like a cozy reading nook. This stems from the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a bipartisan bill signed by President Trump last month, mandating the DOJ to spill all investigative docs on Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell by that deadline. We're talking hundreds of thousands of pages from FBI probes, grand jury materials, and searches of Epstein's mansions. What do they contain? Well, buckle up for the highlights, or lowlights, depending on your conspiracy theory flavor. Photos galore, pics of Bill Clinton chilling in a pool with Maxwell and others, Michael Jackson posing with Epstein, Diana Ross making an appearance, and even Walter Cronkite, because why not throw in a journalism icon for good measure? There's also a framed check from Trump for $22,500, but more on that later. Investigative nuggets. Police reports from Florida's mid-2000s probe, including graphic interviews with victims, about underage massages turning sinister. Call logs, emails, and memos showing Epstein's web of influence. The redaction rodeo, over 500 pages entirely blacked out in the initial drop. One 119-page grand jury doc? Completely inked over. Another 255-page streak of nothing but black boxes. It's like the DOJ hired a Sharpie enthusiast on steroids. What's different from previous releases? Glad you asked. This isn't your grandma's Epstein dump. Earlier unseals, like the 2024 Giuffre versus Maxwell court docs, or the House Oversight Committee's phased releases in September and November of 2025, focused on civil suits, emails, and estate documents. Those gave us Epstein's birthday book, his will, and schedules name-dropping folks, like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. This day batch? It's the criminal side. FBI evidence, grand jury transcripts, and prosecutorial memos. But with so many redactions, it's like comparing a full-color comic to a sketchy outline. The House Dems November drop had over 1,000 mentions of Trump, mostly Epstein fanboying over his presidency, but here, Trump's barely a footnote. More on that misconception to follow. What about the Dems' big bet, hoping for a Trump takedown? Democrats were the cheerleaders for this bill, pushing hard in Congress, with hopes of finally nailing Trump to the wall. Remember, Epstein and Trump were Palm Beach pals in the 90s and early 2000s, parties at Mar-a-Lago, where Epstein allegedly recruited girls. Reps like Ro Khanna and Robert Garcia led the charge, releasing emails showing Epstein positioning himself as a Trump insider. They voted overwhelmingly for the Transparency Act, betting it'd expose some smoking gun. Spoiler, it backfired spectacularly. Trump's mentions? Scarce. One photo of him on a desk amid other snaps. Dems are screaming cover-up, with threats of impeachment for AG Pam Bondi and lawsuits flying. As one oversight Dem put it, this is WikiLeaks 2.0, but slower and shadier. They're fuming that the drip feed of files, trickling out over holidays, violates the law's deadline. And let's be real, if this implicated a Dem-Prez, the outrage meter would be off the charts. Can you feel the irony? Dems wanted a Trump roast, but all they got was a light sear. Trump's like that one guy at the party who dodges every photo. If absence of evidence is evidence of absence, Trump's cleaner than a whistle in a soap factory. Have fun with that one, conspiracy theorists. Maybe next time, hire a better redactor? On the flip side, Republicans aren't popping champagne either. They backed the bill too. with folks like Representative Thomas Massie accusing the DOJ of flaunting the law. Trump himself said, "Release it all, we have nothing to hide." But the partial, redacted mess has MAGA crowds at AmericaFest grumbling. Susie Wiles even called out Bondi for whiffing on base expectations. Why the beef? Promises of maximum transparency from Bondi clashed with reality. In February 2025, she released a first phase of declassified files, vowing more. But by July, she's dodging questions and pressers. We'll follow the law while protecting victims. Lawmakers demanded briefings. She stonewalled. Now, with no full release, unnecessary blackouts, and no arrests despite ongoing investigations, it's got everyone twitchy. Republicans wanted to spotlight Clinton and bury the Democratic connections, but the half-baked drop just fuels more theories. The bigger picture? Both sides boiling, no one winning. Here's where things get real, America. This isn't just partisan ping-pong, it's a bipartisan boil-over. Dems and Repubs are disturbed for the same reasons, from opposite angles. Incomplete release, non-compliance with law, zero arrests. Transparency? Elusive as Epstein's justice. Victims like Charlene Rochar and Marina Lacerda are calling it not sufficient and a slap in the face. The result? Headlines exploding with conspiracies because we're all filling in those little black boxes ourselves. Tensions escalate. Dems cry Trump cover-up, Repubs demand fuller drops to expose the real culprits. In a divided nation, this just pours gasoline on the fire. Truth matters, folks. Without it, we're all just captioning shadows. So, there you have it, America. This latest take on the biggest headlines of the week. Of course, I present this information from an America First perspective. You may see things differently, and that's okay. At Caption America, we don't tell you how to think. We are just opening up the conversation from our perspective. But we welcome you to express your opinion. Be kind, be respectful, and let's have that conversation.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.